This is Electric Universe Eyes. What I'd like to talk about today is spirals, and something I call Electric Universe Geology. And I'm not the only one. For about 5 years now, I've been following a theory called the Electric Universe theory. For the first time, I was able to pair religious teachings with mythology, with legend from Native American folklore, myth, just all these crazy stories, everything that I couldn't piece together and logically make sense of it until I came across this theory. And I want to say that the Thunderbolts group has really opened my eyes and got me to look into things so much that I started to try to dismiss and disprove the things that I was learning. So here I am 5 years later, and I'm deciding I think I should show people what I've been looking at. So today I came across an image from Horseshoe Bend in Arizona, and that made me go and look at this particular area. And we'll go and focus in that area here in a moment, but what I want you to look at right now is the United States. Just from this visual point of view, to me, I see something very different. I used to not see this because I was taught in school that for millions of years, erosion, wind, water, volcanoes, all kinds of things took place that again haven't taken place in millions of years. It just doesn't vibe with all of the other stories, the different cultural beliefs and creation stories that I hear. One thing I'm particular about is listening to the folklore and legend of Native Americans, particularly the Navajo people, which are generally in this area, but once upon a time the Navajo people covered all of this area, and there's stories that there were millions and millions of Navajo people. There was a natural upheaval, a natural disaster, all kinds of things, earth, wind, water, fire, unimaginable things that were seen in the sky, that they began to take these mythological stories of legend and characters and passed it on to their children. The actual word myth doesn't mean science fiction. Google the word myth and see how it originated. That might change your mind. So, to get started here, I just want you to look at the two different sides of the United States. It's dramatically different. But one thing that you may notice is the swirling effect that you see, and the dramatic difference of these sides of the United States. One thing I noticed right off the bat is these lines that kind of connect down here. And if you pay closer attention, it's almost like a swirling motion. These mountain ranges form these lines that are in a big giant swirling motion. And as you zoom in, you start to notice these patterns repeat on a smaller scale. So let's take a look at the area of interest today, and that is Horseshoe Bend, Arizona. All right, so this is the image that I saw today. I thought it was pretty cool. So I went here and I wanted to check it out. So what I like to do is look at these formations and see, wow, did water really carve this over millions of years? Maybe. But I think it's very particular that there are a lot of patterns and things that stick out in my mind as I've researched all over the world, and I see these patterns repeating themselves. And then I think of the stories I hear from all these worldwide cultures of things they saw in the sky that people dismiss today. They just go by what was taught in their textbook in school. And they go about their day and go to their job every day and pay their taxes and go to bed and wake up and do it all again the next day. And then everybody complains on social media about how life sucks, but I don't think it's necessarily anybody trying to be malicious. It's not a conspiracy. I just really think mankind is suffering a bit of amnesia, but it's all still resonating in our psyches of some sort of doomsday scenario or an apocalypse or something tragic that's going to happen, dealing with the weather, something with natural causes. And where I grew up and live, there's lots of tornadoes and strong winds and hail and all kinds of crazy stuff. I've also seen hurricanes come aboard, destroy places. I've seen insane tornado storms with lightning. Stuff's pretty scary, so there's definitely electricity in the sky. I can't deny that. And I can only imagine if there was a storm that was scaled up beyond what we've seen today, that could take something that's paired with a flood, ultra high winds, wet, mud, dirt, maybe dust blowing in the wind, and then pair that with extreme heat. There's stories of conflagration, the flooding and upheavals, mountains rising, mountains melting like wax, things of that nature. So what I'm implying here is try to look at this with the possibility that, let's say, an aurora, very highly charged ionized aurora, pushed down and helped create these. There's a lot of different factors, I think, that created all this, but I think we'd like to start with just comparing the lines that we're seeing here. We have all of these straight lines that are parallel and kind of some wave, some converge, but there's definitely patterns that are going along this landscape here. So I wanted to kind of show you this. One thing, this section here, we got this line that lines right up with this. You see these line patterns coming all the way over. If we move around, we'll see these line patterns continue. So there was a spot that I wanted to start with. Let's see if I can find it for you. Where did you go? We could really just dive down anywhere. I'm really curious about this area. Let's take a look. Here we see already. I'm just going to randomly look around and let's talk about it. This is something that I see all over, is these lines. And you can see these are trees or bushes of some sort, and they're following this landscape in a line. And you'll notice we got these hills and bumps and things that almost look like a vortex of some sort built this up in layers as it moved across. If I compare this angle over here and these here, it seems like something's moving in a certain direction to layer these together. Let's zoom out a little bit. We're seeing all kinds of patterns here. Might take you a while to see it, but maybe not. If you're here already, you found this channel for a reason. This is not a good example. Let's zoom out of here. That's not convincing. Okay, let's go back here. Here, this'll help. I found this earlier. This'll probably get it started off right. So this is the city of Page, and I saw there was an amphitheater over here in one of these mountains. Where is it? Let's zoom in. Oh, well, let's just zoom in here because this looks interesting. Hey, look, here's those lines again, cutting through this mountain. Like something etched it out and layered some things. You still see these patterns, circular buildup patterns. And then we have these sudden drops in this cliff. Wow, that's pretty interesting here. What do you think could have caused this? Was it just water and wind erosion, like they say? Let's take a look here. Let's go down to this guy. Yeah, definitely could be an ancient lake. This was all once covered in water, which I believe there was definitely water in here. But I don't believe it's solely water or wind that caused this. Again, like I was saying, imagine giant electric tornadoes, or really more of a giant squall line, like a storm system where you've got extreme heat meeting extreme cold. Maybe there was volcanic dust in the sky with all kinds of extreme weather conditions that's helping create this. If you've ever seen the aurora borealis and how it moves around, it's quite peculiar. So take these for example. We've got this just straight down wall here. But you notice we still have this kind of layering, like a sputtering, layering look here. And then we've got these little strange things sticking out. What do you think caused that? I'd found a spot that was easily going to make my point in the beginning, just to get you right on the right foot. If you've never seen this before, but how about we just zoom out a little bit? I want you to take note of this and the patterns that you're seeing across here. If there was extremely high winds, it would be moving material all around. Here's a particular little hill that's quite interesting. So you can look at the difference in the mineral deposits, and the landscape changes quite a bit. You can almost see a little swirling pattern here. One thing to note, this horseshoe bend, as it wraps around, start to see some really interesting things here. Look at that. We've got these lines again cutting through this rock. And we've got items like this where it's got these cuts that are just parallel lines going through with cross-hatching. And then we look at these formations here on the edge of this. Does that look like that was carved out by water or wind? Let's take a look. Well, what's this guy? Why is this still sticking out the top? And what's this little thing coming down here? Almost looks like anybody that's done any welding or seen an arc welder messed around with melting and sputtering of metals. Looks like the rock has literally been melted and formed together. Here's a really neat thing. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but if we zoom out this little area, this is just the mouth to the Grand Canyon. Which is huge. Look at this. If you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, it is amazing. And if this was all carved out by water, why are these structures still down here in the bottom? If this little old Colorado River right here carved it out, why is this structure here? Look at this. I haven't ever looked at this particular point, but I always see a spiraling motion in a lot of these features. Like I got cut out here, cut out there. It's almost like this thing was etched out by something. What's this little black thing here? Let's see what this is. Well, that surely looks interesting. Could it be a volcano? An ancient volcano? All of the sleeping volcanoes? It's quite possible. That surely looks like something's melted and dripped. What the heck? What is this? And what's up with all this? What's this? Very interesting. Man, it's almost 4:20 in the morning. It's way too late. It's way too late for me. I gotta be up for work in the morning. Oh, but that doesn't matter. Because look, we're looking at some crazy stuff right here. Look at this guy. Doesn't this is Buell Park. Doesn't this look like a positive and negative yin-yang symbol? Let's take a look. Look at this. It's all risen up over here. Cut out over there. We've got this little spiral mound right here. Hey, fancy that. Look at that. Looks like a big old spiraling action to me. Looky there. How'd that happen? Interesting. What do you say? Is that interesting? Not too far away, we've got some other pretty crazy looking features too. Ooh, Twin Buttes. Look at that. They're just sitting atop there. Look, here's some more of those squiggly wigglies. What do you think? What made that? Did water do that? Is this an old coastline? Or could it be that something has carved and deposited here? Something big and massive, like a big plasma discharge. What would create these kind of formations here? It travels all the way up. And look, where we got this little yin-yang thing happening. Notice we still have these shapes going on. Here's another spiral. We have this funky thing happening. What's this? Look at these cutouts here. That's very odd. Huh, look at that. There's another one. What's this? Pastora Peak. Mayday. Mayday! This video is not turning out so good. Sorry, folks. I stayed up way too late. Stupid.